Hello and welcome back to the Odds Now YouTube channel. I'm Matt Hill and I'm here with your daily PDC World Championship preview ahead of Wednesday's action at Ali Pali. Unfortunately, it is just the one session for us today. It's that weird one in the first round where they only play the evening, and just as you've got used to having a bit of darts on in the afternoon, they take it away from you for a day. But no worries anyway. It's still a decent little card tonight. Probably not the star names that you would hope for, but some intriguing matchups nonetheless. At least three of the four matches are priced to be very competitive. So that maybe make some betting angles. So we'll see what we can dig out here. Just before I get stuck into Wednesday night's games, quick recap of a very frustrating Tuesday from my perspective. I mean, particularly the afternoon, it felt like a couple of them were a bit unlucky. Timu Haju to beat Suter 11-4 actually missed the match dart, but I think you'd be hard pressed to say that it was unlucky given Suter had spurned loads. I think he missed 15 in the end before winning in a sudden death leg. It was a little bit annoying because Haju definitely grew into it. I mean, Suter averaged 107 for the first two sets, which I don't know where that came from because he's been pretty rubbish all year. And he certainly regressed to the mean in sets 3-5, much more what I expected from Alan Suter. And Haju grew into it. I guess he just gave himself too much to do in the end. But look, he grew into it. I think that'll stand him in good stead. I expect to see him qualify again next year. And he's a player to watch because I know his throw's a little bit unorthodox, but he is quite capable and he definitely grew into that game. Can hit a 180 as well, as he showed yesterday. Justin Hudnick, Kenny did the overs on 180s there. That was a painful one because they both flew out the traps, and I think we ended up on 6 180s, but there was only 3 sets. So in terms of 180s per leg, we were bang on target, and the market was not expecting only 3 sets there. And fair play to Justin Hood, he was fantastic and set up an intriguing second round game with Danny Noppert. Paolo Nebrida to hit a ton plus checkout. Well, he missed 2 ton plus checkouts on the doubles in the first 2 legs and then didn't get a sniff after that. Scott Williams was absolutely fantastic, and that was great to see, wasn't it? Bodes well for Williams, and any concerns anyone had about his throw, I think, can be put to bed for now at least. He looked really, really settled up there. Typical bravado, flashy no-look 180s, and a bit of to and fro with the crowd. It's classic Williams, and when he's playing like that, he is a danger for anybody. So that was pleasing to see. Danny Noppert 3-0 against Raymond van Barneveld. Played very well, Danny Noppert. 10 points between them in the averages. Van Barneveld got a set. No complaints there. Going price on the minus 180s handicap versus Gavlas. That was one I was confident on, and it did win, thankfully, to provide a little bit of respite. It's class apart, wasn't he? Price. You can see why people wanted to back Gavlas, because in amongst some absolute rubbish that he threw, he did hit a few 180s, but Price was bang on it as expected, really laid down a marker, I think, to everyone, and then came out afterwards and said he will be winning the tournament. So good to see. And then Nico Springer, that was the big upset of the round so far. Fancied him to take care of Joe Comito with minimal fuss, but Comito, to be fair, he didn't do anything exceptional. Average high to mid 80s, won the first set. Springer crumbled badly. Real shame for him. I think I would concur with a lot of what people were saying, that he has a really, really top A game, but at the moment he doesn't have a B game. And it's actually something I've mentioned many times this year, that he's very hot and cold, Springer. I just thought he would rise to the occasion here with a winnable game on the big stage. Had that game last year against Williams where he played exceptionally well in defeat. Thought it would settle him down. It seems like it was just all a bit too much for him at this stage of his career. The expectation from Germany, obviously, it's a big darting nation, and high hopes for him. I think everyone was already looking at that second round clash with Josh Rock, and he maybe overlooked Comito a little bit. And once the game started to get away from him, he really did unravel, and it was a sad sight. I was pleased for Comito, but it's a sad sight for Springer, because we all know the talent he's got. He really needs to work on that big game, because he did unravel last night. So yeah, tough day yesterday. 6-ish points lost on the YouTube tally, which puts us about levels for round 1. So work to do, but we'll go in again. And as I say, 4 games only tonight, no afternoon session. So without further ado, let's get into the first game. Matt Campbell versus Adam Sevada. Now, money has come for Adam Sevada. I'll be honest, I've backed Adam Sevada at a bigger price. I don't think I would rush to back him at this price. I think the market's correcting, and I think this is bang on. Because Matt Campbell, in Matt Campbell, we've got someone with plenty of big stage experience, who's won at Ali Pali, faced Luke Littler a couple of years ago and gave a good account of himself, of course. But he's got plenty of wins under his belt as well. Really good win over James Wade on this stage 3 years ago. So there's a lot to like about Matt Campbell, but I guess his recent form hasn't been as convincing. He's not had the best year by his own standards, and I think he's just a hard player to want to back when he's a favourite. Campbell, he's someone you quite like getting with as an underdog, but maybe not as a favourite, because he can be unreliable at times. I'll give him some credit and say that his big stage record and his Ali Pali record is good for a player of his calibre. So I think he is a worthy favourite. But he plays an interesting runner in Adam Sevada here, who's topped the CDC tour in America. And on the numbers alone, you'd have to say he's probably the best player stateside at the moment. However, he's not shown it on the big stage yet. We saw him at the Grand Slam last month. He wasn't great. But if there's ever a game that's going to help him settle in, you would think it would be this one, because Matt Campbell, being Canadian, is someone that Sevada will have played countless times. And it's that familiarity aspect that I like here, that he's playing somebody he knows. He could just treat it as a game of darts and not the big sort of pantomime occasion that it often feels like for players on their debut. There's probably not a lot of expectation on Sevada here. I feel like most neutrals are expecting Matt Campbell to win this, and that probably suits him fine. Like I say, anything that can kind of take the pressure and expectation off Sevada and just let him play has got to be a good thing, because on his numbers, this game is very, very competitive. So it is all about how Sevada settles. I've backed him myself at 7-4, but I wouldn't probably back him at 13-10. So from right now, it's a no bet, but I do expect Sevada, if he settles, to make this very, very close, and I think he has a decent chance here. Game 2 then. I'll just check I'm not removing the old game, so we'll just do it this way. Raymond van Barneveld versus Stefan Bellmont. I think this is an interesting game, because Stefan Bellmont is drifting. Everyone wants to be with Van Barneveld. Well, that's fine. I just wonder if people are overlooking Stefan Bellmont a little bit here. The Challenge Tour winner is going to be on the Pro Tour next year. And he's no mug. He's no mug. He obviously got into the Grand Slam of Darts via his Challenge Tour exploits. Swiss #1. And the only issue with Bellmont is he does blow hot and cold. He can blow hot and cold. But let's not forget, in his first game at the Grand Slam last month, he beat James Wade 5-4 on the big stage with a crowd that was cheering for Wade, really. So that's a serious result. That deserves a lot of respect. And this isn't his Ali Pali debut either. He's got experience here, so he knows how it works. And if he can just play his game, then on the seasonal numbers, he'll give Van Barneveld a good game here. I also have some slight concerns about where Barney's at with his game. His form is very flaky, and to be honest, he's just a hard player to rely on at this stage of his career. Obviously been a brilliant legend of the game, but you never really know what Van Barneveld you're going to get from one game to the next. We do still see some classic performances from him, but it tends to just be one-off performances. There's not been many runs in recent times from Barney. So I'm keen to get with Bellmont in some kind of fashion. I don't think I want to go as far as maybe backing him to win the game. So I was having a look at Bet365 and using the Bet Builder tool, and I'm just going to get it up on another tab in front of me, so I'll make sure I'm saying the right thing here. But I wanted to get with Bellmont to, extend this game, if you will. I don't really see either player winning this 3-0, and the over 3.5 sets looks a fairly solid start to a Bet Builder. And then if you combine it with Bellmont 180s, I think that was the way I wanted to play it. Over 2.5 Bellmont 180s and over 3.5 sets in this game combines for an 11-10 poke, which I think has got a really, really solid chance. So on the angle that I'm slightly anti-Barney and pro-Bellmont, but not enough to back Bellmont, that's going to be the way I play this game. I'm going to take over 3.5 sets and over 2.5 Stefan Bellmont 180s at 11-10. If we get the 4 sets that we need, then we should get the Bellmont 180s, is my line of thinking there. So that's an 11-10 poke for game 2. Okay, game 3 this evening then is the introduction of James Wade to this year's World Championship. He plays Ryushi Azemoto. As you can see, a very skinny favourite, 1-12 best price for James Wade, and Azemoto out at 10-1 in places. Now, we have seen Azemoto on this stage before. He played Wesley Plysea in last year's first round and only lost 3-2, which on the face of it looks like a good debut. But to be honest, Plysea was horrendously nervous. It was his debut too last year, and he did not play well at all. But Azemoto, credit to him, hung in there, nicked the first set, nicked the third set, and then Plysea ran away at the end. I think he won the last 5 or 6 legs straight to kind of put it to bed with a bit of comfort in the decider. Azemoto in the end averaged 79, but it was much more like a mid-80s performance. He just missed a lot of doubles in the last few legs, which sort of tanked his average. So it was a solid showing, nothing to go crazy about. You would think James Wade will have the measure of him in this kind of arena. However, would I be rushing to back James Wade to win 3-0 at 4-7? Probably not with his recent Ali Pali record. Ignore that 75, by the way. Anyone that's watched these daily videos will know Unibet have been miles out with their odds checker feed all tournament long. Would I be rushing to back him at 4-7, 8-13 to win 3-0? Probably not. I mean, Wade's recent record at Ali Pali is not a particularly good one, is it? He's had a lot of early exits and disappointing defeats. So as much as I expect him to be able to deal with Azemoto, I don't think I'd want to be backing him at that kind of price. Last year, lost 3-0 to Jermaine Watamina. Obviously, that was a bad draw for him, really, so not too harsh there. But that was his 3rd straight year he's gone out in his first game. Lost to Jim Williams, lost to Matt Campbell. They were much more disappointing defeats. And then Watamina whitewashed him last year. So recent record here for Wade, pretty abysmal. Obviously, going back in time, multiple semi-finals, quarter-finals, etc. So it's not that he has anything to prove in terms of his World Championship capabilities, but yes, in recent times he certainly has questions to answer. So I feel like I'd be forcing a bet here. One angle I would perhaps note is that Azemoto in 5 sets last year didn't manage a single 180. So if you were looking for a starting point for a bet in this game, then the 8-15 on Wade, most 180s, looks very rock solid. He's obviously scoring a lot better than he usually does in the last couple of years as well. Wade, he's had a bit of an uptick in his scoring. So I think you could back Wade to win the most 180s and maybe on some kind of handicap as well if you wanted. I'd just rather give this game a swerve, to be honest. Last game of the evening is a big one for Stephen Burton. He needs to win to retain his tour card, and he plays Martin Schindler. And you can see there's money coming for Stephen Burton here. I wonder if that's because of Martin Schindler's World Championship record, which is not the best. Quite often fell at the first hurdle. Then he seemed to have cracked it a little bit by making the third round in 2023 and 2024 editions. Then last year went out in the opening round. But a little bit of mitigating circumstances last year. He went out 3-0 to Callum Ridge in his opener. Callum Ridge definitely a player that improves for the World Championship stage. He'd had the benefit of his first round game where he'd already sort of settled into the tournament, played Romeo Gerbovac, beat him 3-0 with 107 average. So Ridge came into that game last year with his tail up against Schindler. Schindler didn't settle in the first set, and the game very quickly got away from him. I think he averaged around 90 in the end, which is it's subpar, but it's not abysmal. It's not disgraceful, He just played a good opponent. The 2 years prior to that, he won his first game with a degree of comfort. He beat Martin Lukeman a couple of years ago, 3-1. That was when Lukeman was playing pretty well. And the year before, and the year after, he beat Jermaine Watamina in his opener, and both of those he was averaging in the mid to high 90s. So I don't think that the Schindler's record is as bad as people make out at the World Championship. I think in the last 2 or 3 years he's been fine. He's just had some tough results. I think the last 3 to knock him out have been Michael Smith the year he won it, Scott Williams last year, 2 years ago, no shame in that, and Callum Ridge, as I said, made the quarterfinals, gave Van Gogh a scare. So I'm not as worried about Schindler's record as some people may be. Do you want to take him on with Stephen Burton? I mean, I tried to get Burton up on a bet last year, and he let me down badly. He tanked against Alexander Merckx, not Arno Merck, not to be confused. A game that he was strong favourite for and didn't turn up. This one he needs to win to retain his tour card. There's no doubt Stephen Burton has got ability, hence why he's been on the tour for an extended period now. Do we see it enough? Probably not. Now, it all depends on how Burton is approaching this game, if he sees this as a bit of a free hit territory, or whether he is feeling the pressure that comes with needing the win. And I think if Schindler turns up and plays anywhere near his best, this is going to be a really tough night at the office for Stephen Burton. I think I want to be with Schindler on the handicap here, 8-11 to win 3-0 or 3-1. Like I say, I do think he's sort of cracked the World Championship early rounds in recent years, even if the results don't suggest that. And I think he should arrive here in confident mood. He's had a pretty decent year. He's had a pretty decent draw. And I think if I was leaning one way or the other, I think that needing to win to retain your tour card might just play on Burton's mind a little bit more than actually help him. Another game that may swing on the first set. If the underdog wins it, belief starts. But I look at every aspect of Schindler's game. I think he's slightly better than Burton in the scoring, in the finishing. So, I'm happy to take Schindler on the handicap at 8-11. What I would also chuck in there, Schindler, very, very reliable 180 hitter. If we partner that up with over 3.5 180s from Martin Schindler, that actually gives us a 17-10 bet builder, which I think is well worth a little goal for 2 points. So it's Martin Schindler minus 1.5 sets handicap and over 3.5 180s from the German as well, 17-10 with Bet365. Okay, so just the 2 bets on Wednesday night for me then. Raymond van Barneveld versus Stefan Bellmont. Going to back that to go over 3.5 sets and over 2.5 Bellmont 180s. That is 11-10 with Bet365. And then Martin Schindler versus Stephen Burton. I'm going to back Schindler minus 1.5 sets, i.e. to win 3-0 or 3-1. And over 3.5 180s from the German. That is 17-10. Now, they do combine for a 4.67 to 1 double on Bet365, which I think we can chance a point on as well. So 5 points staked on the evening. Let's hope for some better luck and results today, and enjoy the darts. We'll be back with a full card on the afternoon and evening on Thursday's session. So let me know what you're back in tonight and in any other future sessions. If you enjoyed this video, please do give us a thumb up and a subscribe, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Thanks, guys.